Well, hello and welcome to today's exciting episode of Exceptional Living. I'm your host, April Ripley, and I know you're probably wondering what's all about the Fascinator. Just wait, you'll find out. But as you know, each and every one of our programs is purpose to inform, to inspire, and to ignite the greatness that lies within you. We share life changing concepts, insights, tactics, proven tools from local and global change agents, innovators, thought leaders, and experts, all to equip and empower you for credible impact and distinguishable competency, and certainly lasting impact and influence. So, in a world where we've been conditioned to fit in, know that you, yes, you, were designed to stand out, to live a life exceptional, unique by design. And I'm excited for our special guest today, Miss Fanchion Kenady. Hi,
Hi!
Fanchion.
I love that,
Welcome,
that opening was fire.
welcome. Okay. I have to let our audience know who we have in the
Okay.
house with us tonight. So Fanchion Kenady is a proprietor, I love that word, of a
Mhm.
custom herbal tea company. Fanchion K's Tea Time. See, there it is, right there. I even got mine in the back. Fanchion, yes, and that's my fascinator because it's tea time.
Yes.
She is a business and pastoral leader in women's ministry and community-based initiatives. She's highly regarded for her ability to merge foundational spiritual teachings with focused entrepreneurship. Her passions are driven by her desire to spread God's love through hospitality, entrepreneurship, teaching the word, and aspiring others to achieve higher levels of self awareness and growth through spiritual based messaging. Fanchion remains committed to serving hope, love, confidence, and inspiration in every move she makes. And for over 20 years, I'm going to let that right there because there's no way it's been 20 years. Anyway, see, I love it. 10 years of pastoral leadership, but she's earned two bachelor's degrees in business administration and communications. She's earned her MBA in organizational leadership and is presently pursuing her doctorate in management in organizational development and change. But Fanchion, so I have to tell everyone how we met. So we met in Project
Yes.
Ian, right, at a mentorship by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and
Yes.
it was actually checking into the hotel. You remember this was in the hotel lobby?
Hmm.
Like, are you here?
Hmm.
Are you here for that? Yeah, and we just connected.
Yes.
Fancy was a writer already. I was an
Mhm.
aspiring writer, and
Mhm.
so we connected. And Fancy and I have just been honored to see your amazing journey into entrepreneurship and with your global business and what's happening in your life. And you certainly are a beacon of God's love and hope. So thank you for being a part.
Ooh.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I have been watching the show, so to be a guest on the show, I feel honored. Thank you, and I think I am so glad for Project Gideon because that is where I met you and where we connected, and you've been just that constant. I was looking at the opening, and one of the things you said, bridge builder, and that is what I have known you to be. Is that person, and like I can always depend on some inspirational scripture, whether it's in my phone or whether you inboxing me on Instagram. And so I appreciate you. Thank you for being exceptional yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Fanchin. And you know, I always say it takes one to recognize another.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, but we're certainly honored. And as you know, our show is all about informing, but inspiring and igniting again the greatness that lies in every individual. And your life is certainly a testament of that. So, in your mind, Fanchin, what does exceptional living mean to you?
Okay. I have I have to first pour my tea. I made some mint and lemon tea. So
Love
I have
it.
to pour me a cup of tea first
Love it.
because we're gonna get into this, right?
Yes,
So
indeed.
so when I think about exceptional living, being exceptional means just to basically be unique, to be different, to not be like everything and everybody else, and or be the norm. It's above average. You're not You're not the norm. You're not something, or it's not something that you're going to constantly find. And when I think about that, it doesn't mean that necessarily I have to do some great history record breaking thing. It just simply means that um, I am the one in my family, which is true, that have pursued higher education. I'm the exception. You know what I'm saying? Because in my family, it was high school and that was it, right? All the way across the board. Well, to be exceptional means to go above what's normal. So for me and my family, I became the exception, not better than, not I'm not better than anybody in my family, but I did something exceptional because this college education was not the norm. So when I think about exceptional living, it means going above what's normal, not fitting in to the status quo, and not being afraid to go against what is normal. That's to me exceptional living. So you can be exceptional in anything. You can look at, hey, you can go to school. You could be in a family where everybody is going to school, and you can find a way to be exceptional in a way you um, come at your education. So I just want to throw that in there because for so long the enemy used to fight me. Well, you're not doing some big, great thing. You don't have all these followers. You don't have this. And but when I look at my life and the things I have accomplished according to where I come from and what I was groomed to be and what was normal, I am exceptional. And you have to find your exception. Everybody has to find what's exceptional about you and walk in that and embrace it because I believe in all of us, there's something exceptional. I think God makes exceptional people.
Absolutely, Fanchion. And like you said, as I started off by just saying that we're all unique by design. You have siblings, I have
Mhm,
siblings. There's some things, there might, we look at physical traits, say you look kind of like, are you related? But
mhm,
none of us have the same fingerprints. Every
mhm.
one of us have unique fingerprints. And I like to
Yes,
think of our exceptionality, Fanchion, as you said, is as
mhm,
unique as our fingerprints. And
yes,
that we don't have to be like someone else, but we need to be the best version of what God has created us to be. And it's okay to be different. Um, you
yep.
know, my
Can
sister,
I add?
you met my sister.
Yeah, I love your
you
sister.
know,
I love your whole family.
I know yours
Yeah,
too, and Miriam and everybody. But it's
yes, yes.
for a minute, it's like, well, April speaks more, Heather doesn't speak as much, but
Mhm,
that's not a negative. It's just it's a part of our makeup, but all a
yeah,
part of our uniqueness and the gift that God has given us to
mhm,
serve the world and make a difference. Fanch, your life, author, tea expert,
yep. Mhm.
entrepreneur, and now student.
Yeah.
That's a long journey. That's, obviously different seasons in your life. Tell us more about that in your journey.
Um, I, well, first, I think to be exceptional, you have to embrace the pain of being different. Okay, because I feel like that's my whole. If there's a underlying theme in my journey, is that I have to embrace always kind of like being a sore thumb or being the one who didn't fit in, and we don't like that. But sometimes that's the blessing. That's how you know God has called you to do something unique. And if I go back to kind of like what I was saying about my family, they're very talented. All of them great musicians, singers, everything. I didn't have that gift. I was smart. And so it was kind of weird. I was kind of like the eyeball because I wanted to drink tea and read books. And I was, I was kind of, sometimes they would tease me, like, you need to get a life. But I love my books and I love my tea. So, but this is what I found in everything I've ever done is that a lot of times I come into things and I realize that I sometimes approach things from a different way or I see things differently. Sometimes I had to adjust those things. Don't get me wrong, not saying that every time I came, I was the one right, but I had to early on, if I was going to become the woman God called me to be, I had to embrace that I was different, I was unique, and that what God had called me to do, I may not be surrounded by people as growing up. I wasn't necessarily in their environment or surrounded by people that um, had that same calling or gifting that I had. And so it caused a lot of pain. It caused a lot of struggle. And I think I remember just even in Project Gideon, that was one of my main questions. Remember, it's like, hey, look, I've been put in this position. I've been doing this my whole life. I have for 25 years. I worked in my mom's ministry and just worked. I let my dreams go to help hers come to pass. And then she passed away suddenly. I wasn't expecting that, and I literally was just kind of like just pushed into this role by default. And it was like, am I supposed to be here? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? I know it's what my mom did, but is this what God called me to do? And I just found myself in this place of, well, who is Fanchion? Because my whole life had been defined. My whole life had been spent putting aside what Fanchion wanted to serve, which is not a bad thing. You know, is what God required for me at that time. If it is because I served my mom and the ministry for all those years that I was even in a place where I could stop and say, okay, what do I want to do with my life, and then go pursue it. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing wrong with what I did. So I don't want to make that so. But the thing was always the underlying theme was always being okay with being different. I don't know why God always like seems to put me in places where I'm kind of like this oddball, and just be okay with that, knowing that okay, then there's something unique that God has called me to bring here. That's something that I bring to the table, um, as well as there's something I need to take away from this table, and being okay and settled in who Fanton is. And it took a long, 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 long time for me to be okay with just being Fanton, that being okay with, yeah, I have the dream of opening a tea company. I have a dream of running a bookstore. I have a dream of having a women's ministry. I don't really want to be a pastor. I want to help people, but I don't want I don't want that. I didn't want the necessarily the life of a pastor, even though I have a shepherd spirit. I don't necessarily have to do the four wall pastoring in that way. Even if God required that defined, but I don't have to. And being okay with that,
Mhm.
finding peace in that, and and self in my own self worth, and just being okay with being unique. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
No, no, Fanchon, that's good. You
Yeah.
brought out really a lot of salient points because
Hmm.
you talk about helping others in that
Hmm.
discovering yourself, discovering your gifts. And like
Yep.
you said, you didn't expect your mother's transition, but you
Yep.
recognize that what you had
Hmm.
learned during that season of your life that
Yeah.
you probably at that time didn't see necessarily as your dream and where you wanted to go, but
Yeah.
that providentially it was helping to shape and to mold you and to learn some things.
Yep.
Certainly also doing work in ministry, you learn a lot. Learn a lot about
Yes.
people, and
Hmm.
there's also a
Yes.
business side, right? That could be a whole nother conversation, but you do
Hmm.
learn a lot and it can prepare you for many things professionally, education wise. I mean, some of the things that
Hmm.
you learn in psychology, you think, okay, that's the term for it, but I've already lived it, right? Um,
Right. Right.
but it's okay. And I love, like you said, all of my siblings have, they could sing or whatever. And it's kind of like, well, where do I fit in? And again,
Right. Right.
your uniqueness came by your not fitting in, but somehow you
Hmm.
were able to be a part of. And I
Yes.
like to think of it like a
There
puzzle,
you go.
right? Fancy
Yes.
like a puzzle.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
piece is essential to the puzzle picture on the
Hmm.
box, but none of them are shaped the same. And that's what you have to figure out. The whole thing is figuring out, okay, this piece is shaped this way, it's colored this way. Where does this fit into the overall picture? And so I often see
Hmm.
my life like that in family, with friends, with colleagues, and
Hmm.
even in the larger global picture, because God loves the world, right? He so loved the world.
Hmm.
So that's every ethnicity, and so we
Yes.
look to say, what has he blessed us with, what has he gifted us with, what is
Hmm.
what is our purpose and how does it fit our individual piece but also part of the larger
Yes.
puzzle. So
Yes.
you certainly have learned a lot, and you have different circles of
Woo.
friends and
Yes.
mentors and coaches, so
Oh God.
and
Yes.
Fanchion, how do you
Huh.
determine who's in your growth circle and your growth cycle? How do you determine that?
I look for people that don't allow me to. I look for people that challenge the way I think.
Mm.
Um, I but before I could even get to the place where I could be challenged to think different, I had to first accept who I was. Kind of back to what you said, that puzzle pieces. I was this puzzle piece, and I would never fit because I was trying to be like everybody. I was trying to be all the other puzzle pieces instead of embracing the puzzle piece that I was. Once I embraced the puzzle piece that I was, then it was like, okay, now I need people to come in into my life that's going to challenge me, that's going to challenge those seeds or that remnant of rejection that I've felt all my life. People that's going to come and say, or somebody that's going to challenge me that when that my low self worth or low self esteem tries to come up, that's going to challenge that. Or when pride, when I put my identity and my accomplishments or what I've achieved to come and say, no, that's not who you are. You are not what you do. I like people around me like that. That forces me to grow. I like people around me that may not even say it, but just being in their presence, you being one of those people, um, just being in their presence, you begin to see areas that you of growth. I need to grow here. I need to refine here. I need to be better here. I like to be around people that make me uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Wow,
And
that's different,
and
Fanchion.
that's
Yeah, like how
yeah,
being around people that make you uncomfortable, right? And we've heard Bishop
yeah,
talk about, go into rooms that are bigger than you.
yeah.
And, sometimes the
I
imposter
have.
syndrome, you're like, am I supposed to be in this room? Because this room is
Hmm.
bigger than me, right? But that is kind of the sort of the paradox of it. But it is that by your going into rooms, like you said,
Yeah.
that are larger than you, it challenges you as a person,
Yes.
your thoughts, and in that challenge, that growth is kind of like disruption, because people don't like to think of it this way, Fanchion. But if we go back to when we were in elementary school and there's that little seed we
Hmm.
put in the milk carton, I don't know if you remember that. Right?
Hmm. Yep.
And we're
I
waiting for the
remember.
seed to burst, but there's disruption in growth.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's what I love. You said first accepting who you are. I am Fanchion. I'm uniquely created,
Yeah.
divinely gifted, appointed and anointed for my assignment. Um, I am meant to be here for this moment. Accepting that, but then also getting other people around to see your potential, but also challenge you. Um,
Yeah. Can I just add something to
Absolutely.
that real quick? It, I have been in exceptional rooms that other people probably would dream to be in, but because I hadn't did the work to love and accept finishing,
Yeah.
when correction would come or the or I hadn't embraced myself enough to understand that this uncomfortable feeling that I'm feeling is good. Oh,
Mhm.
they're not fighting me, they're challenging me to change,
Mhm.
challenging me to be different. And what I found out is that God, and I just got, why did you give me these opportunities? You knew I wasn't ready. And sometimes God has to kind of like shock you. I watch the Food Network channel. I'm not a this master cook, but they cook these foods and then they take them straight from the heater right to the cold to shock them, to stop them from cooking, right? Because they're trying to get them to a certain temperature, a certain texture for us to eat it, and to be right for the meal. And that's how I feel like God did with me. He like literally took me from this heat to this cold, and it shocked me. And um, I wasn't ready for it. But what it did, it exposed the insecurity, or kind of like Bishop used to tell us about getting, or when that light shine on you, it's hot. It exposed me to me. Everything that I thought I was secure. I thought I had it together. I thought I knew. And sometimes God put you in situations and it seemed like, God, you put me here to die. But God's like, no, I put you here So then what's in you could come out, not just the good, but the bad. And sometimes the good is coming out and the bad is coming out. And God is like, okay, I need you to know what's wrong with you. I need you to look at yourself. I need you to deal with this because I can't even use what's right about you because what's bad about you keeps coming and eating up
Mm.
what's good about you. And so it was very, very important to do the work to heal and to do the work to love and accept yourself, whatever that is, so that when opportunities fall in your lap, you're prepared for them. And then if they fall in your lap, to be wise enough to know that if this is bringing out an insecurity in me, let me not run from it. Let me not turn this on them that they're doing something wrong. Let me figure out what is God trying to press out of me or press in me in this situation? And it's a conversation that I wish I had had with myself at different times that I didn't have with myself. But I don't feel like I lost anything because I feel like God knew who I was. And I feel like nothing I do can ever really derail or destroy his plans in my life if I continue to surrender and say yes to
Oh, I love it.
him.
Search yourself. I'm taking notes. Everybody knows I take notes because
Yeah.
as these programs, I'm learning so much. Fanchon, it reminds me of David, and he said, "Search
Mhm.
me, O Lord, right? My inner parts, my
Yes,
thoughts." Um,
yes,
God knows our heart. He also
yes,
knows our thoughts. And
yes,
and as you said, he wants us to understand and know us, right?
yes.
And my own self be true, right? In the words of the great
Mhm,
Shakespeare. But
mhm.
part of that truth is discovering who you are. What do you actually believe?
Yes.
What things have happened in your life, like you said,
Mhm,
maybe things people have told you that have led to your beliefs,
mhm.
that has become your life philosophy, your ideology, and you begin to behave and think and act, all these things based on, your experience, because we are very much so kind of associative beings, right? Things happen to us. We go into another situation and try to associate what's happened in the previous one to this one to find some type of answer or way for us to move forward. But the
Mhm.
key is challenging um, our future, right? Challenging really our
Yes,
present to say, don't look solely at the past, right? God says, I have a future,
yes. Oh my God.
a hope
Yes.
and an expected end for you, because he
Mhm.
knows the thoughts that he has toward you. And you just said that as we're closing. You were saying, um, God knows what he has purpose. And so he knows the rooms you're at. He knows the tables that you're at, and even the circle of persons that need to be with you to help
Yes.
build you and challenge you. And,
Yes.
and you said that you had to learn how to discern if somebody was speaking, at you and not always take it personal, right? That this
Mhm.
was something they observed, this is something you could be better at. So it takes maturity as
Yes.
well. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, speaking of maturity and challenge and setbacks and disappointments, Fanchon, we've all
Mhm.
had them.
Yes.
You shared a little bit
And
of your
you feel like you're gonna die. You
like,
feel like God forgot about
the
me.
world is
Right.
coming to an end and the sky is falling.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
but certainly, Fanchon, I know that you've learned some things that you held on to that helped you
Yes.
get through those times.
Yes.
And even now, as you're continuing your journey,
Mhm.
share some things with us that you've learned, or some things that you held on to in the midst of the storm.
Number one thing I held on to simple, and it made me sound just really cliche, but is God.
Absolutely.
Um, my life over the last 10 years, I lost my mom 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years in November. My life flipped upside down. It was shaky. It was up, down. it was for like, I would say at least 7 of those years, it felt like a dark cloud was just hanging over my head and I didn't know how to get out of it. I was grieving and getting amazing opportunities and going home crying and meeting people I dreamed about meeting, getting opportunities that I wanted, jobs that I wanted all of my life, and was depressed, 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 depressed because I couldn't shake the darkness. I couldn't shake what was going on. And I had so many questions. I was questioning my faith. Not that God was real, but just like how much of what I was taught, how much of it was real, how much of what is, I was, it was like God was reshaping the way I saw him. Okay. Um, but I knew in the midst of all this chaos and the craziness and the depression and the darkness and the dark cloud and the ups and the downs and failures and disappointments, I knew one thing. I knew God was real. And I knew if I held on to him, that somehow, some way, it was going to work for my good, just like the Bible said. And so when I felt hopeless, without, and there was times I wasn't even faithful to God during this journey, but he was faithful to me.
Mm.
That's, and that I credit to my mother, because when her world, when I was 13 years old, her 19-year marriage to my dad came to an end. And I watched our life become unstable and just chaos. But I remember her on her face praying, asking God. I remember her trusting God to take care of us. And I watched God provide and provide and provide. And I watched this woman go from praying to take care of 6 kids to when she died, she was able to leave us enough that I could decide what I want to do with my life.
Mm.
I watched her go from needing other people to give her money to being the one blessing other people, to buying cars for other people, giving them away, and different things like that. And that's the number one thing. And I know it makes it sound like, oh, that's what church people say, but it's the truth. If I didn't have God, I don't know how it made. If anybody knew the level of demonic attack, and then in the midst of that, God sent one lady, her name is Ann Lott, who I met when I was on the mission trip. And this woman, to this day, she's kind of like, she's not a pastor, but she might as well be my pastor. This woman, she was with me through it all. It was like there was nothing that I could not tell her. There was nothing I could not share with her. And sometimes she would just be quiet and listen and wouldn't say nothing. And then the next call, when I was in a better place, she'd say, okay, you shouldn't think like this is wrong. Or she'd text me out of the blue, don't even know what's going on, and say, God had me praying for you, what's going on? This woman. So even if we hold on to God, no matter how it looks, he's going to not only hold on to us, but he's going to send the right person if we open ourselves to. Because sometimes we want it to be who we want it to be. But if we open ourselves to it, he's never going to leave you in that pit alone. He's going to send somebody in there to encourage you, to pull you through, and help walk you through that place. And I would say God and Ann, those two, between God and her, and having somebody that I know was spiritually in tune with God, not somebody who just off, you know, don't really know God, it just, you know,
Right.
but somebody that was really spiritually mature to help me when the enemy was attacking my faith, to help point out, no, 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 we're not going there. We're gonna direct that back here, and having that and being submitted to that and not fighting her, getting mad at her, yes, but getting mad at her and then going somewhere and say, I need to humble myself. So I think those two things helped me through. Um,
Absolutely.
I hope I
Absolutely.
answered that good.
Oh no, you did. Also being a woman of
Hmm.
faith, even when you don't see it, he's working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The songs like even when we don't see it, God's working. And that's a faith. Sometimes people think,
Yep.
oh, you believe in God, that's weak, but it's actually strong. I mean, if you think about it, Fanchion, to believe in someone that you cannot physically see, but to have this faith that the words that they've spoken about you will
Yep.
come to pass, that we're never alone, that there is no temptation, no test or trial that comes our way that
Mhm.
is not common to man, right? But that God
Yep.
provides a way to escape. He
Yep.
provides us a sure and expected end, not end as in end, but outcome. And
Yes.
that takes a lot of courage and a lot of faith because
Yes.
there are moments for everyone. I know everyone who's
Woo.
watching this program has had this moment when you're like, okay, for real, I don't see it. And often, as you
Yep.
said, Fanchion, many times it comes in what we don't think or expect because
Yep.
the thoughts are
Yep.
higher than our thoughts. And so the people that he allows to come into our lives, even sometimes just in different seasons of our lives,
Mhm.
you
Yes.
know, where he's wanting to take us,
Mhm.
persons come into our lives to help propel that. If there's,
Mhm.
a time of loss, as you were sharing with your mom and what you saw,
Yeah.
Lady Anne came in at that time. She's still there with you, but certainly there's
Mhm.
been some growth in different shaping as you're continuing your journey. So if we
Yeah.
trust God, that He'll bring the right people, He'll bring the people, I say, take us to the places and provide the resources that He
Yeah.
knows that we need for what we've been
Yes.
mission for. As
Yes.
ambassadors, we have nothing to worry about. And that's what
Nothing.
faith is about, right? Faith is not the five physical senses. It is beyond that. And faith
Yeah.
calls a see to come in. And that is what sustains us. And
Yes.
Vanch, and I would ask you to share maybe three things that have guided your life. You shared so much with us already.
Okay.
Certainly your faith
Mhm.
in God has been number one, but are there a couple other things that you can share that have
Um.
really guided and anchored your life?
Oh, my dreams.
Mhm.
And it's something that my dreams got really distorted. As you grow up, like a lot of times when you're a little child, those dreams are really pure. That's really a lot of times who you are, right? And I always knew. I know being an entrepreneur is really something big now, but two things I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to own my own tea company, and I always wanted to have. When I mean teach, I wanted to teach, and I wanted to teach and preach. But I didn't just want to be a preacher. I want to speak to. I don't want to just be called to preach in the church. I want to be everywhere, right? Um, and I always wanted to have my own business all of my life. I don't know why. I'll just talk about it in my teenage. One day I'm gonna have a building with my name on it. Da, 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 you know, and life tends to come and destroy those dreams, and you forget those dreams. And I always wanted to get my doctorate degree here. Education was always big to me. And what I realized and you know this a couple of years ago, what I thought when I came to Texas, what I thought God was bringing me for. When I watched it all to start crashing, I thought, man, God, this is like, why are you doing me like this? Like, what did I do? What do I need to repent? Why are you destroying me? And what I realized in the middle of that crash is that I picked up all my childhood dreams and started running towards them. And it was not until I got my master's degree that God said, look at you. Everything you said that you wanted in your teenage years, you're living it. I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought you were crashing that because something I did, but you were crashing that because really you had a different dream for me. And I was able to reconnect with who I was and my purpose at my core through the devastation. So my dreams have been a guide. The real dreams that I have, and not allowing it to detour me. And then God's word and promises to me. Um, Holding on to that, knowing that, like holding on to scriptures in the Bible, like Abraham and Sarah. And if you read all throughout the whole Bible, God did his best work when things looked like it was dead and over. Even death couldn't keep Jesus from being who God said he was. They killed Jesus so he wouldn't be who God said he was. But it was in the death that he became who God said he was. So they put Joseph in the pit so he wouldn't become what he saw in his dreams. But it was the pit and the dungeon that got him to be. And
Wow.
when it's dark, so it's one thing when you hear it in church, yeah, I'm get this, but it's a whole other thing when you live in it because you don't see it a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't see the end. So holding on to those stories, knowing that, look, Joseph, we read it real quick, but that was a long time for Joseph. Joseph could not have imagined anywhere in his brain. He was just trying to get out the pit. At that point, he wasn't even trying to be nothing. He wasn't trying to fulfill his dreams. He just wanted to get out that dungeon.
Get out the
Look,
dungeon.
can you say a word? You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think those things have been guided to me, my faith, my dreams. And
Mhm.
and and what I mean, like those childhood dreams tells you a lot about who you truly are. Because long before the world tell us who we should be or we're inspired about all these things, um, just as a child in our purest state, you just if you can remember the things that you gravitated to, the things that you love, and the things that you like, it'll tell you a lot about who you are. And I feel like now I'm living in a lot of those things, and I had to give up the we live in America and social media age where and I tell this one story and I'll be done. I had a video go viral of me doing getting my makeup done. I got to do my makeup, and I got like over 100,000 views. And so I was like, okay, and I got all these followers, and I was like, okay, okay, and I was like, okay, let me make some more videos. And I put the video on the stand, and it fell to the ground, and my phone broke. And I heard God in a moment say, "Is that who you are? Is that what you called to? Are you going to dance for the people? Or are you going to dance for?" So I could have easily took advantage of that and propelled myself and just been this person, but I'd have been out of purpose, right? But what God said to me, yeah, that video, what it's going to do is going to draw people to your page. Pay attention to who follows you. Because the people who follow you, that means they look through your page and you have a message for them. Don't dance for the crowd so you can be somebody. Actually be somebody. So when people connect to whatever draws them to you, you have something of substance to give them. So yeah, that's it. I'm done.
What?
You
Okay,
got the time.
you have to repeat that again because that was something good. Don't
Like just
dance
don't.
for the crowd, right?
Yeah, yeah, be the person who God called you to be. So God may use something. I look at Bishop Jakes. Like we got to know Bishop Jakes as the women man preacher, right? That's
Hmm.
what draw them to us. That's what draw us to him. But when you think of him now, you don't even think woman darlings necessarily. You know what I'm saying? So that's how he started. So God may use something to draw people to you, but don't start doing a dance so you can keep getting people. Keep doing what God called you to do. The people that stick are the people you're called to. So
Hmm.
have some substance.
Very
Once God
good.
shine that light on you, have some believe it or not, do that. I've made great connections. I've made some great friends. I've got some people that kind of I've been able to mentor through that video. And no, I didn't keep dancing to get up to 100,000 followers, but I got people. I don't. I'd rather have people that I'm in relationship with that they're building my life and I'm building their life than to have a bunch of people following me who ain't doing nothing for me and I'm not doing nothing for them. And it's just about it's so easy in the day we live in to fall into that, to think you got to start doing all these dance videos and stuff to get people to pay attention to you. I asked God one question. I said, Lord, how do I reach this generation? And he said, be bold. I said, what do I do to reach this generation? You've given me something for this generation. How do I reach them? And he gave me said one thing. He said, be bold. If you're bold, they'll listen to you.
Mm,
And I said, okay,
that's it.
I'm just gonna be bold in what you call me to
Is
do.
that not what this generation
Yeah.
is about, Fanchion, right?
Yep.
Boldness,
Yep.
expression,
Yep.
authenticity of
Yep.
belief and conviction. So,
Yep.
yes, we don't have to silence our voices and our convictions, but be bold. And scripture
Yes.
tells us, be that workman, that workwoman that need not
Hmm.
be ashamed. So live
Yes.
boldly and live
Yep.
loud. And
Yes.
wow, I love it. Don't dance to the crowd. Again, don't dance to the crowd.
And for the crowd.
Be and do what God has called you to be and to do,
Yes.
and
Yes.
have substance. And in that really comes the substance, right? When you keep
Yep.
that as the center, therein lies the substance. And you know, scripture says that when we lift him up, he draws. So
Hmm.
men and women are drawn to you, certainly. Fanchon, what would the woman you are today say to the girl that you were? The woman you
It's,
are
there's
today.
nothing. There's nothing wrong with you.
Mm,
All of my life, I thought something was wrong with me.
mm,
Why did God make me this way? I'm different. I was bullied. Whew, I had a very. I've never been physically molested or whatever, but I was talking to somebody and he was like, "You have the traits of somebody who grew up being molested," and I said, "Because my molestation was emotional. Because when you hear every single day that you're ugly, you're a beast, cover your face, you get picked on, bullying on a level that is not real. That if I told you some stories, you wouldn't believe it happened to me. And imagine that from kindergarten, high school till I used to walk around as a teenager, and how I coped was I pretended in my head that I was somebody else. So all and then I would go home and my mom and dad, they so much drama between them, so there was no voice in the home to contradict what I was hearing outside of my home. So I believed what they were saying because when I came home to they were so into it with each other. They had so much of their own issues going on. There was nobody telling me you're beautiful, you're loved, you're this, or give me what I need. So it left me emotionally undeveloped, underdeveloped, everything. Child have been through everything. But um so most of my life I thought something was wrong with me. So I would look at her and say, there's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. You have value, you have worth. God has a purpose for you. You don't have to envy other people. You don't have to be jealous of other people. And you don't have to compare. You could be exactly who you are. You don't have to live up to your older brothers and how great they are. And you don't have to envy the attention the people around you get that you don't receive. Because that was the story. It was always my older brothers. Oh, Michael and James, they can sing. What you do? I read books, or I had a cousin who was just pretty, pretty, pretty. And we would go places, people would just, oh, she's so pretty, she's so pretty. Who is this? And I'll just be this little girl waiting on somebody to tell me I was beautiful. And I would never hear it. So just always thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? So that's what I would tell her. And I would give her a big hug and help her heal. I've already, and I'm still helping her heal though. Yeah,
and,
that's
and
what I
and
would
so
say.
you would give love, like
Yeah,
the bread in your hair, love, right?
yep,
That
yep.
there is
That's
nothing wrong
what
with you. You
I,
are enough. God has
yeah,
created you with
hmm,
significance, with value. You
yep,
add value to the world.
yep,
Your being here, Fanchon, tonight, sharing authentically,
yes,
transparently your
hmm,
story, your trials, but also your triumphs and your continued journey
hmm,
is what has blessed and inspired us. And that's what this program
absolutely.
is all about. And
Thank
so
you.
I thank you for being a part. and for sharing this evening. And before we close, any closing thoughts before we close?
Thank you for having me. I just want to encourage anybody out there, live your life, your section of your life. And I want to share something that my cousin shared with me that changed my life. Um, if you love doing it and it brings you joy, because people used to tell me my life is boring because I like to read. If you love doing it and it brings you joy, then it's not boring. And if you can embrace that and be okay with that, and be okay that you like things that other people don't like, and that sometimes you may have to do those things alone, you will start living an exceptional life. And not only that, you will find out there are more people like you than there are different, and you will find your tribe and people that not only like you and not only your tribe, but will follow you and live boldly in who they are because you have chosen to live boldly in who you are. Thank you, April, for helping me. I feel
Oh,
special.
oh, thank you, Fanchion. Find your tribe, right? With 7 billion
Yes,
people in the world, there are people who
yes,
love books and who
yep,
love reading and who love
yes,
sports and who love art and who love math and all these different things. So there are people who are part of the tribe. I remember that book, Tribe. But again,
yes.
thank you so much, Fanchion. Thank you for being a part of our show today. And I, again, want to invite everyone to like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel, Exceptional Living with Dr. April Ripley. Thank you again, and have a great, great night. Thank you, Fanchion.
Thank you. Love you. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I am so excited about our special guest tonight. Lady, I like to call her too, Lady Fanchion Kenady. And I hope that some of the things that she shared really, really inspired you and motivated you to know that you are enough. And if you enjoy doing things that others may think are different because of the tribe that they're in, there is probably another tribe for you that loves the things that you enjoy doing. And it's okay. And no matter what may come your way, that faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love, because in love, we have hope and our faith rest. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being a part. And be sure, again, to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good evening, and God bless.